Hey everybody, my name is Garrett Weaver. I am your host for the On Point podcast, and this is episode 00. This is where I get to describe to you what the podcast is going to do for the folks that tune in and listen to it each week. I'm really excited to finally get this episode up and airing, and I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that has encouraged me, motivated me, and followed me over from my other platforms like YouTube and Instagram, and followed me onto the podcast, because if it wasn't for folks like you, if it wasn't for the following that I had on YouTube, I wouldn't be doing this because there wouldn't be a need. No one would be listening to it. So thank you so much for everybody that has followed me over to this platform. And if you're just now starting this journey with me, go ahead and follow me over onto YouTube. I've got a lot of good stuff on there. Just type in Garrett Weaver. I'll pull right up. You can subscribe. You can check out the content and see if it'd be of use to you. Also, I take suggestions on there very seriously. I try and come out with content. As soon as I get the suggestion, within a few days, I try and upload suggested videos. So I really appreciate everybody that's beginning this journey with me, new or following me from a current platform. Thank you so much for doing that. Now, I want to get into why we're calling it the On Point podcast, because I did pass this name up a few times, and then I was working with John Gabriel from Apex Marketing, building the brand and then the logos and all that stuff, and he pitched this one to me after he kept coming back to it, and I kept kind of fighting him on it, and then after he described why it should be called the On Point podcast, I couldn't agree more, and I actually fell in love with it. So, on point, what does it really even mean to be on point? On point means that you're constantly pushing yourself. There's no room for comfort zones. There's no room for complacency. You're always pushing yourself to get better in whatever area you're trying to be. Like if you're trying to be a better archer, hunter, learning new areas, learning about your gear, shooting better, whatever it may be, you're always learning, growing, and just trying to get that edge, just trying to get that razor sharp edge on yourself where you're going to be the best hunter or whatever it is that you're wanting to be. You're always on point. And that's really what this podcast is about. I want to help people be on point. I want to help people get really good information out there to be better with the gear that they're using, with the new gear that's becoming available as it comes out, and then also be able to take more risks and go on more journeys and adventures. It's not that hard to go to Africa, and it's probably not as expensive as you think it would be. But I also want to help people learn about learn about draws, tags, how to hunt, bears in this state, or cougars or wolves, or how to get meat coming home from Hawaii from axis deer. How does all that work? How do you put all that stuff together? What's the paperwork look like to go to Africa? And if you're bringing your guns over there, how do you put all that together if you've never done that? Well, this podcast is going to help people connect those dots, encourage people to go on hunts they've never gone on, teach people about tips, tactics, and strategies that the professionals use that are really successful in the industry in their areas, how to be successful, how to get better. And that's really what my thing is. My mentality is sometimes I say it in my videos sometimes, you got to get better. You just I don't care how good you are, you got to get better, because if you're not, you're going backwards. If you're not putting in the same amount of effort that got you there to how good you are right now, you're falling behind. You're not moving forward. And that's really my mindset, is if I'm not actively doing something to further myself, my dreams, my goals, my capabilities, I feel like I'm falling behind and I'm not keeping that edge on myself. So that's all part of being on point. There's another niche that I think that we're going to hit that no one else really, in my opinion, has really hit this in at least the hunting podcast industry, and actually made it a point to help people with this area, is there's such a huge motivation for folks out there to make a living in the outdoor industry. We'll put it that way. You see them all over Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everybody, including myself. They want to start building an income where they can create an income to support themselves or their family or their lifestyle in the outdoor industry, whether that's a hunting guide, whether you're selling shirts, hats, bows, arrows, you have your own service, you have your own product, or you're trying to become your own personality for a TV show, or trying to start your own TV show, whatever it may be. There's such a huge high demand of people that want to do that. And it's really weird because hardly anybody ever does it, or hardly anybody ever does it successfully. They leave their job to go work in the industry of hunting. And why is it that so few people actually do that successfully? Well, I think it boils down to a few things. I think it boils down to lack of work ethic. You see all these people that are super motivated, but that's easy to say, I want to do this. It's easy to say, I'm going to do this, but actually following through with it, I think that's a huge area of gap of where people really aren't putting in the work to do what they're saying they're going to do. I think that's the biggest reason right there is work ethic. They don't want it enough, or they're not serious enough to get past that hobby level state where everybody, I really think there's this saturation of hobby level. I want to do it, but I'm going to do it on the weekends, around my schedule, around my job, around my convenience. But I'm going to do it. That's the hobby level mentality that's really saturated. But if you really put in the work, I think that you can rise above that. But how do you do that? And then I think the other puzzle piece of the puzzle is having direction. They don't know what they don't know. They don't know what they need to do. They don't know what smart business decisions are. They don't know how to market themselves, partnerships, sponsorships, whatever it may be. They don't know. I personally don't know. I'm learning that as I go right now. I'm getting a little bit of mentorship along the way, and I do have some direction. I am leaps and bounds farther than where I started, but all that took was taking that step over that, I guess, ankle-high hurdle. It looks like it's going to be hard. It looks like it's going to be too tall for you to get over, but when you really just start taking that first step, you realize it was just your first step. That hurdle was only ankle-high, and you just really began the journey into your dream or whatever you're wanting to do. Well, I think that if folks had more direction out there, more know-how, more knowledge on how to do it, I think that would really up the game and help a lot more people make that transition. And so I'll be learning right along the side the audience with that niche, but that's an area that I want to hit because there's so many people that want to do that. And I want people to do what they love for a living. I want people to love going to work or going to their business and just living the life they want to live. I think that's awesome. And if that's in the hunting industry, this is going to be a great podcast for you. But if you love learning about gear, load development, arrow building, bows, guns, packs, whatever it may be, the best boots for your feet for this hunt, arrow for this hunt, load development for that hunt, this is going to be a great podcast for you because I myself am a gear junkie, man. I love gear. I love doing gear reviews. I did a gear review on a product that wasn't even out yet, and that was man, that made me so happy. Having something in my hand that's not even out on the market, that made me so happy. I hope that happens again in the future. But if it doesn't, that was my highlight for gear reviews this year. But that's gear reviews. That's a small part of the podcast. Like I said, I want to go over how to go on more hunts, how to be financially smart to where you can afford to go on these hunts. And we're going to get people on this podcast that are going to help me and you do that. So that is all part of being on point. And I do want to go over, before I end this podcast, this is going to be a really short podcast. I want to announce that the first podcast, this one, is just me introducing myself. It's not going to be me talking the whole time. I'm going to have plenty of guests. My first guests for episode 1 are going to be the Born and Raised guys. It's going to come shortly after this podcast. I'm really looking forward to it. And we're going to ask them, how did they transition from their job into Born and Raised? And then also maybe what are their plans for Land of the Free 2.0? I'm really excited about hearing about that. But I really want to hear about their journey because I think it was a 9 to 10 year journey for them start to finish, starting Born and Raised to quitting their jobs. I think for at least for Trent, it was 9 years. But I'll let them tell their own story. I think it's fascinating. I think it's awesome, inspirational. And for me, definitely gives me a lot of motivation to see that it can be done. But that's my first episode. And then also after this episode, as soon as you get done listening to this thing, I'm going to have a giveaway, maybe a Onyx hunt and a Go Hunt package or some sort of arrow package, or I'm not really sure, but I'm going to make it a pretty sweet giveaway for folks that go on, give me a 5-star review if you think I've earned it. If I didn't earn it, just give me a review. Let me know how I need to improve. I'm happy to do that. But if you can, leave me a 5-star review. Leave me a comment. Say, enter me in that drawing you were talking about in episode 00 or something like that. And then I will enter you and draw a winner here within the month or two. I'm going to put something together. It's going to be awesome. And I really want to make it worth your while to take time out of your day to go give me a review and a comment. But that's really going to help the podcast get off the ground from the start and really boost that into the spotlight, which I want this thing to grow. I want to impact as many people as I can who want to learn, grow in the industry, and become better. And just, that's really my main goal. If you guys haven't figured out who I am as a person, if you haven't seen my videos or anything like that, I have a huge heart for helping people. That's my main motivation, and that's really where my heart's at, man. I just really want people to live the life they want to live, hunt as much as they can, and then be the best they can with their gear that they're using. So the animals deserve our best attention. They deserve our best effort, and for us to be the best we can be, to make sure that when that time comes, we put them down ethically and quick. And that's what I'm all about. So hopefully you guys are excited for episode 1. This is the first episode, 00. I'm going to end it right here. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, guys, I will see you on the next one. Bye.